Would you believe me if I told you you could make your own Southern sweet tea in your own kitchen? Oh my gosh, that's so good. And if you're like me, there's nothing better on a summertime day than a fresh glass of sweet tea. So in today's video, I'm going to show you my family's recipe for real Southern sweet tea. I promise you'll love it. And you won't have to pay 10 bucks a gallon anymore at a restaurant. Hey there, everybody. I'm Tracy from teachmetracy.com. So you guys get the front row seat to one of the most popular things that I make in this kitchen. So let's get started. You're gonna need a gallon pitcher, or I like to use something similar to this. This is glass, and I prefer glass because it maintains the freshness of the tea a little longer. But if you just have a plastic pitcher, that will work just fine too. But this recipe is for a gallon size because if your family's anything like mine, we all love tea. And so you can't just make a little bit. You got to make the whole gallon. You're going to need a large pot for boiling your tea. You're going to need some Lipton black tea or something similar. These happen to be the regular size tea bags. You might want to get the family size tea bags. Supply chain issues make it difficult sometimes to get the family size bags. So I'll let you know how many family size bags versus how many regular size bags. So these that we're going to be using in this recipe happen to be for the regular size bag, not the family size. You can also use any other tea. It doesn't necessarily have to be Lipton, but this is what we've always used in my family. So that's what we're using in the video. Then you're going to want 1.5 cups of sugar or 2 cups of sugar. It depends on your preference. I don't like it on the sweeter side. My sister, on the other hand, likes her tea to pour out like syrup. So it just depends on you. You can add 2.5 cups, if you don't care about cavities or, that kind of thing. You can add as much sugar that you want, but I typically add 1.5 cups of sugar for every gallon of tea. And then you're going to want a whole lemon, and these are already sliced because I made some tea earlier, but I will show you how I slice them because if you're making Southern sweet tea, it's kind of mandatory that you serve it with some sliced lemon, just so you know. And then I have a couple of surprise ingredients that we're going to talk about adding just in case you want a different flavor to your iced tea. So make sure that you stick around to the very end, okay? So here's how we're gonna make our tea. Step 1 is you're going to pour your sugar in your pitcher. And then you can kind of just set that to the side. You're not going to need it for a while. Step number 2 is we're going to boil 6 cups of water. So I already have 6 cups of water pre-measured out here. So while our water is boiling, I'm going to go ahead and cut up the lemon, and then we're going to talk about some alternatives that you can add for your iced tea to make it taste a little different. So you just want a standard lemon, any lemon. Doesn't have to be any kind of specific brand, just a lemon. And I'm going to show you how to slice these in wedges because they get the most squeeze out of it, in my opinion. You can do wheels if you want to do wheels. They look a little prettier for the garnish, but Southerners, when we put lemon in the iced tea, we like to squeeze it so it gets the flavor out of it. So if you're doing wheels, sometimes they don't squeeze very well. So anyway, I'm going to show you how to do a wedge here. Rather than just going ahead and cutting the lemon, to save you a little bit of time, you can take your knife and put it down in the middle of the lemon and make a little divot like this. And then this will allow your lemon to sit on the outside of the glass just in case you have someone that doesn't want lemon in their tea. I mean, you could always ask them, but you might still want to garnish, like if you're having a party or something like that. Then you're going to take the lemon and we're going to cut it lengthwise this way. Okay, so you split it into 2. And then you could probably get 4 slices out of your lemon. This one's going to do 4 on this side. Okay, and so you can see there's a split in the lemon right there. So you can just put this guy on the outside of the glass and it just kind of hangs out there. And then it's really easy to take the wedge and just squeeze it and get the lemon juice out of it. So I don't recommend cutting too many lemons at once. 1, people might not like it, and 2, because you want the lemon to be fresh. So cut maybe 1 or 2 per 8 glasses of iced tea. Let's talk about a couple of things that you can add or change. Instead of garnishing with a lemon, you can add several of these fruits. And the one that I have here, I just happen to have in the kitchen, is an orange. And orange is a great complement to iced tea. It's a really good, different kind of flavor to iced tea, and it works the same way. So I'm gonna cut these in wedges. You don't necessarily have to cut them in wedges. You can cut them in wheels and garnish them that way too. But I like to use the wedges for iced tea because they squeeze really well. Let's see, out of this one, we got 1, 2, 3, 4 wedges, but they're kind of large. You don't wanna put this whole wedge into a glass because the orange will probably overpower your tea. So I just cut them in half. So some other things that you can add to iced tea to make it taste different or a little bit more like summertime is raspberries or blackberries. They make wonderful additions. So you can drop them in, or you can use one of those diffuser things that you can put in the drink bottles. Either one works, it's up to you. All right, and so the last thing that I have here is some fresh mint that you could also add to your tea. Now this, a lot of people like to use this in hot tea, but it works in iced tea just as well. So if you're a mint fan, you can add this with the lemon or by itself, and it's super, super tasty. You can find fresh mint in your grocery store. We happen to grow our own mint here at home. So these actually came from my garden, but you can't find it at the grocery store. So we're just gonna peel the mint leaves off, and you only want to do one, or if they're tiny like this, you might wanna do 2, but you don't wanna do too many because it will overpower the taste of your tea. Oh my gosh, this mint smells good. I had forgotten that I had some mint in the garden, and I went to a friend's house last week. Her mom was growing mint in her garden, and her mom actually gave me some to dry out, and which I was glad to accept, but I forgot that we grew our own because ours had not popped out yet. So now I have double the mint, which is great. Now I have to find things to make with my mint. Okay, so here's our mint. I'm gonna wash this out and then I'm gonna put it to the side. Yay, our water is boiling now. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take all 10 of our regular size tea bags. Now, if you have family size tea bags, you use about 6. You're gonna wanna turn your heat off, and then you're going to want to add your tea bags, and you're gonna wanna set a timer for about 6 minutes because you want them to steep for about 6 minutes. With the heat off. Make sure you turn the heat off. This is the easiest way to do it. So the sugar will dissolve automatically when we pour the hot tea in there, and then we're gonna cool it off with an additional 12 cups of water. So while this is steeping, we're gonna go ahead and get our 12 cups of water together. After you steep for 6 minutes, you're gonna wanna come back over to your pot, and you want to remove the tea bags because we're going to boil it again. So I usually give the tea bags a little squeeze. And then once you're finished, you can pretty much throw them away unless you use them for other purposes, like put them on your eyes or maybe use them in your garden or whatever you do with them. But you don't need these anymore once you take them out of the water. Then we're gonna bring the tea to a boil again. And then as soon as it starts to boil, we'll turn it off, and then we'll put it into our pitcher and add the water, and then we'll be all finished. Once it boils, you just want to turn it off very quickly. You don't need to let it boil too long. And then the color that you're looking for when you know that you have successful tea is an orangey brown color to it. And it should be fairly opaque because remember, we're going to add water to it, and then it'll look like tea that you've seen before. Right now it looks very dark and very opaque. That's how it's supposed to look when you take it off the stove. If you notice here, I had to switch to my plastic pitcher because I was moving the glass pitcher and I hit the granite countertop and it broke. It's not my preference, but I don't have another glass container. So plastic is just fine to use also. We are going to finish the rest of the recipe in a plastic pitcher. Now, the one thing I was going to caution you about using a glass canister is, for the most part, they're only for cold use. So you want to make sure that your tea is cooled off enough that when you put the cold water with the hot tea, that your tea is not too hot and it cracks the glass and breaks it. I've done that before, and it's a nightmare. You don't want a gallon of tea spilling everywhere because it'll take you forever to clean it up, and then it's just safety hazard, and all of that kind of stuff. So if you're using glass, you have to make sure that your tea is cooled off enough. If you're using a plastic pitcher, you can take it right from the stove and then add the other water and it should be fine. So we're gonna take this off, add it right to the pitcher. And again, if you're letting kids help you, I would suggest that you do this step for them and then let them complete the rest, because the hot tea is very dangerous. Remember, we just boiled it, so you don't want the kids to be handling anything that's really hot. Okay, so your sugar is in here with the tea. You add your 12 cups of water right to the pitcher. There you go, iced tea. So let's dress up our glasses with our tea and our garnish and see which one you like the best. Of course, whenever you make Southern iced tea, you gotta put it in a mason jar. We do drink out of mason jars because we use them for canning, we use them for candles, we use them for storing nails. I mean, we use them for everything. So why buy glasses? We have mason jars. Maybe we'll add 2 because that one is kind of small. So there's our mint. We'll do this one orange. We want to give it a little squeeze and then let it float right there on top. What do you think? And then the last one, we're going to garnish with some lemon. Squeeze and lay it right there on top. Oh, that's good tea. So let me know in the comments if you tried the recipe and which one is your favorite, or if you have any add-ons that you like to use with your iced tea also. That's all I have for you. Enjoy your summer and enjoy your iced tea. I'll see you next time. Here comes another video. Bye-bye.